Do you know you can solve half the algebra problems on the GED test without the algebra? Welcome back to the ultimate GED math guide. In part 2, I'll show you the calculator trick that turns hard problems into easy points. Let's dive in. Factor n squared minus 2n minus 3. To pass the GED math test, you need to know how to add, subtract, multiply, divide, and factor polynomials. We will first solve it the regular way, then look at the calculator cheat method to solve these kinds of questions easily, without even knowing algebra. For this question, all we need to do is find two numbers that multiply to give the constant, in this case, -3. Those same two numbers must also add up to give the coefficient of n, which is -2. This takes some trial and error and depends mainly on how good your multiplication is. The two numbers here will be +1 and -3. +1 times -3 gives -3. +1 plus -3 gives -2. After finding these numbers, all you'll do is put them in parentheses with the variable n, and you are done. So we have n plus 1 and n minus 3. Therefore, our final answer is option C, n plus 1 times n minus 3. Please note, this is a shortcut method only works when there's no number in front of the n squared. In math, we say the coefficient of the n squared is 1. This is straightforward. Now let's talk about an amazing cheat for the GED test. This is a powerful calculator trick that will let you solve a ton of algebra questions without actually having to do the algebra. So you get to a question, and it asks you to simplify or factor some crazy-looking expression. Here's the secret. The original expression and the correct multiple-choice answer are equivalent. They might look different, but they are secretly the same. This means if you plug the same number into both, you'll get the exact same result. We're going to use this to expose the right answer. Let's do it. First, we need to pick a test number. You can use any number you like, but I always avoid 0 and 1 because they can sometimes cause problems. For this, I'll pick 2. Then press the store key. Now I will pick a letter to store it as, so I click on this button. This is where you store variables. When you keep clicking on it, the variables change. I will store it as x. Although it is n here, we know the letter itself doesn't matter. You just need a letter. Then press enter. The calculator now knows that for our test, x equals 2. Now we type our equation, replacing the n with x. We have x squared minus 2x minus 3. Then we press enter. This gives us -3. Let's look at option A. Option A is open parenthesis, x plus 3, close parenthesis, open parenthesis, x plus 1, close parenthesis. Then we press enter. This gives us 15. Since we didn't get -3, option A is not the correct answer. Now, let's test option B. We do the same thing for option B. We input the expression. Then we press enter. This gives us 5. Since this is not -3, option B is not the correct answer. Now let's test option C. We input the expression. Then we press enter. This gives us -3. Since this gave us -3 like the original expression, this is the correct answer. Simplify the expression below. To pass the GED math test, you need to be good at how to simplify linear expressions by adding, subtracting, multiplying, expanding, and factoring. To solve this question, we have to remove all the parentheses and combine like terms. For the first term, since there is a number in front of the parenthesis, we cannot just remove the parenthesis. We will have to distribute the two. We will multiply each of the terms in the parentheses by the 2 outside. 2 times 2x is 4x. We just multiplied the numbers and brought the letter after it. Then 2 times y is 2y. Here again, we just multiplied the numbers. Y is the same as 1y. So we did 2 times 1 to get 2. Then brought the y after it. Since the other two terms, x plus 4y and 3x minus 2y, have no constants in front, and also is not preceded by minus, we can just remove the parenthesis without performing any operations. Now the expression becomes 4x plus 2y plus x plus 4y plus 3x minus 2y. Next, combine the like terms. Like terms have the same letters raised to the same powers. So here, we can combine the x terms and y terms together. 4x plus x plus 3x equals 8x. We just added the numbers and brought the x after it. For the y terms we have 2y plus 4y minus 2y is positive 4y. We just added and subtracted the numbers and brought the y after it. Therefore, the final answer is option B, 8x plus 4y. Here again, we could have used our calculator cheat method. Since we have two variables, we need to store values for both x and y. We have already stored a value for x in the previous question. This is 2. We need to store a value for y. I will use 3. So we will click on 3, then store. Then we click on the variable button till we have y. Then we press enter. Now the calculator knows our y is 3. Since we have our value stored, we can simply input the expression on our calculator. Just be careful to avoid errors. Then press enter. This gives us 28. So we will check the multiple choice answers to see which one gives 28. We will notice that when we input option B into the calculator and press enter, we will get 28, just like the original expression. So we know option B is the correct answer. During a winter storm, the starting wind speed was 60 miles per hour. Each hour, the wind speed decreased by 5 miles per hour. Which expression represents the wind speed in miles per hour after t hours? To pass the GED math test, you need to know how to create algebraic expressions to represent problem situations or word-to-symbol translations. We are told that the starting wind speed was 60 miles per hour, so we begin with a starting speed of 60. The wind speed decreases by 5 miles per hour. This drop happens consistently every hour, meaning the decrease is 5 for every hour that passes. We are asked to write an expression that shows the wind speed after t hours, so we'll use the variable t to represent the number of hours. If the wind drops 5 miles per hour, then after t hours, the total decrease is 5 times t. This is 5t. This expression tells us how much wind speed has been lost after t hours. Next, we subtract the total decrease from the starting speed to get the wind speed after t hours. Since we already know the starting speed is 60 and the total decrease is 5t, we write the expression as wind speed after t hours equals 60 minus 5t. Please note, we cannot write the expression as 5t minus 60. That would be incorrect. The wind doesn't start at the amount lost. It starts at 60. So we subtract the decrease from the starting speed, not the other way around. Therefore, the final answer is option D, 60 minus 5t. Three types of shipping boxes are used to pack books. Each small box holds 8 books. Each medium box holds 12 books. Each large box holds 20 books. Which expression shows the total number of books packed? Knowing how to create polynomials to represent problem situations or word-to-symbol translations is an important skill you need to pass the GED math test. First, let's break the question down to understand what we need to do. We are told there are 3 types of shipping boxes: small, medium, and large. To make it easier to write an expression, we'll use variables to represent the number of each type of box. Let S represent the number of small boxes. Let M represent the number of medium boxes, and let L represent the number of large boxes. Next, we calculate the total number of books that each type of box holds. To do this, we multiply the number of boxes by how many books each box can carry. We are told each small box holds 8 books. Because the word each is used, we know we need to multiply. So, total from small boxes equals 8 times S. This gives us 8S. Each medium box holds 12 books. So, total from medium boxes equals 12 times M. This gives us 12M. Each large box holds 20 books. So, total from large boxes equals 20 times L. This gives us 20L. We are asked to write an expression that shows the total number of books packed. To do that, we add the totals from each type of box. We do 8S plus 12M plus 20L. This expression represents the combined number of books packed in the small, medium, and large boxes. Therefore, the correct answer is option C, 8S plus 12M plus 20L. Subtract x over x plus 3 minus 4 over x. To pass the GED math test, you need to be familiar with how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide rational expressions. To solve this question, we treat it like subtracting regular fractions. We first need a common denominator. To find that, we multiply the denominators. We do x plus 3 times x. This gives us x times x plus 3. Now let's do the cross-multiplying step to rewrite both fractions with the common denominator. We multiply. X times x is x squared. X plus 3 times 4 is 4 times x plus 3. Since we're subtracting the second fraction, we now subtract the second numerator from the first. So the expression becomes x squared minus 4 times x plus 3 all divided by x times x plus 3. Next, we distribute the minus 4 to the terms inside the parentheses. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. So we have x squared minus 4x minus 12 all divided by x times x plus 3. Therefore, the correct answer is option C, x squared minus 4x minus 12 all divided by x times x plus 3. You can see that this is also a question that you can use the calculator trick to answer without knowing algebra. Since we stored 2 for x on our calculator earlier, we don't have to store anything. We can just input the expression. Since we have a fraction, we will first press the fraction button. Then we will input our top value, in this case the x. Then we will press the down arrow key. This will take us to the bottom. Then we input our bottom value. We have x plus 3. Next, we will use the right arrow key to move away from the fraction. Please, it's important you learn to use these arrow keys because if you don't do it right, you will be inputting your values in the wrong place. Then we press our minus. We follow the same idea to input the 4 over x. Then we press enter. We have negative 8 over 5. So we are looking for the answer option that will also give us negative 8 over 5. Since we know that the answer is option C, let's input it on the calculator and confirm that we will get negative 8 over 5. As expected, we got negative 8 over 5. The cost to rent a bike is made up of $15 plus 3 times the number of hours it's used. This total cost is then divided by the number of riders minus 1. Here, H represents the number of hours the bike is used, and R represents the number of riders sharing the cost. Which expression represents this situation? To pass the GED math test, you need to be familiar with how to write an expression from a written description. We are told that the cost to rent a bike starts at $15. So cost equals 15. From the question, we know that H represents the number of hours the bike is used, and R represents the number of riders. Next, we're also told that the cost includes $15 plus 3 times the number of hours. Since the number of hours is H, 3 times the number of hours means 3 times H. This is 3H, so we write the total cost as 15 plus 3H. Let's handle the riders minus 1 part. We already know R is the number of riders. So, number of riders minus 1 becomes R minus 1. Next, the question says that the total cost is divided by the number of riders minus 1. Since our total cost is 15 plus 3H and the divisor is R minus 1, we write the full expression as 15 plus 3H all divided by R minus 1. Therefore, the correct answer is option A, 15 plus 3H all divided by R minus 1. James is packing 4 identical crates and 1 toolbox that weighs 12 pounds. The total weight of everything is 60 pounds. What is the weight, in pounds, of each crate? To pass the GED math test, you need to understand how to use linear equations to solve real-world problems. We're told that James is packing 4 identical crates. That means each crate weighs the same amount, but we don't yet know what that amount is. So we use a variable. Let X represent the weight of 1 crate. If 1 crate weighs X, then 4 crates would weigh 4 times X. This is 4X, and that's the total weight of the crates. Next, we're also told there is 1 toolbox that weighs 12 pounds, so toolbox weight equals 12. The total weight of everything, that is, the 4 crates and the toolbox, is 60 pounds. Since the question asks us to find the weight of each crate, we combine the weights of all items. We already know. The 4 crates weigh 4X, the toolbox weighs 12, and the total weight is 60. So we write the equation as 4X plus 12 equals 60. We add the crate weight and the toolbox weight because of the word and. It shows both are included in the total. Now we have a 2-step equation, and solving it will help us find the weight of each crate. First, subtract 12 from both sides to move the constant. This cancels out. 60 minus 12 is 48. So we have 4X equals 48. Next, divide both sides by 4 to isolate X. The 4 cancels out, leaving us with just X. 48 divided by 4 is 12. So each crate weighs 12 pounds. Therefore, the correct answer is option B, 12. Solve 3x squared minus 2x minus 5 equals 0. To pass the GED math test, you need to be familiar with how to solve quadratic equations with one variable. For this question, we want to have all the terms on one side of the equation, then set it equal to 0. Since the coefficient of the x squared is not 1, our first step will be to multiply the coefficient, 3, by the constant -5. This gives us -15. We need 2 numbers that multiply to -15 and add up to -2. This takes some trial and error and depends mainly on how good your multiplication is. The 2 numbers will be 3 and -5, because 3 times -5 is -15, and 3 plus -5 is -2. Next, we rewrite the middle term using these numbers. Replace -2x with positive 3x minus 5x. At this point, the equation becomes 3x squared plus 3x minus 5x minus 5 equals 0. Now factor by grouping. In the first group, we have 3x squared plus 3x. Notice that both terms share a common factor of 3x, so we factor out 3x from this group. This gives us 3x times x plus 1. In the second group, we have -5x minus 5. Here, we factor out negative 5, since negative 5 is a common factor for both terms. This gives us negative 5 times x plus 1. Since both groups now contain the common factor, x plus 1, factor it out. Now we have 3x minus 5 times x plus 1. Next, we set each factor equal to 0. First, let's set the first factor 3x minus 5 equals 0. Add 5 to both sides. The 5 cancels out. 0 plus 5 is 5. We have 3x equals 5. Divide both sides by 3. The 3 cancels out, leaving us with just x. So, x equals 5 over 3. Then, let's set the second factor. X plus 1 equals 0. Subtract 1 from both sides. The 1 cancels out, leaving us with x. 0 minus 1 is negative 1. So, x equals negative 1. Therefore, the correct answer is option A. X equals negative 1 and x equals 5 over 3. Let's use the calculator to solve this. So far, we've handled expressions where we could plug in any random number for the variable or letter. With an equation, our strategy changes slightly because of the equal sign. We can no longer pick a random number. Instead, we must test the specific numbers provided in the multiple choice options. Our goal is to find the one answer choice that makes the left side of the equation equal to the right side. For this question, we want to test the x value that will make the left side 0. Let's start by testing the x values for option A. We will start with x equals negative 1. So we will first store our x value as negative 1. After storing negative 1 for x, we can just test to see if the left side of our equation will give us 0. We input it in the calculator. Since we got 0, it means x equals negative 1 is a solution. This eliminates options C and D. Since option A and B have x equals negative 1, we have to test the next value to pick the correct one. We look at x equals 5 over 3. Let's store it as our new x value. Now we will use our arrow key to navigate to the expression again. Then press enter 2 times. This is using the newly stored x value of 5 over 3. Since this also gave us 0, we have confirmed that option A is the correct answer. An even better way for equations is to use table on the calculator. This will help you write the equation once and easily test new values for x. We first press the table key. Then we will input our function. Then press enter. Since we are going to input our own values for x, we don't care about the start value. We will press enter to keep the default. We also don't care about the step value. We will press enter again to keep the default. We are not using the auto. We want to put in our x values, so we will use the arrow key to move it to the Ask X. Then press enter. We press enter again to finish this step. Now, we test our values. Let's start with the option A values. We will input negative 1. Then press enter. This automatically stores our x value as negative 1, places it in the function, and gives us our y value. The y value is the value on the right side. Since we want it to be 0, we can say that negative 1 is a solution. We can test another value. We want to test 5 over 3. We type 5 over 3, then press enter. This also gave us a y value of 0 as we expected. So we know option A is the correct answer. Please practice this and check out our complete GED math course at ultimateged.com for everything you need to pass. Michael saved $8,500 and spent $7,300 on a new motorbike. He wants to use the rest of his savings to pay for writing lessons, which cost $300 per lesson. How many full lessons can Michael afford with his remaining savings? To pass the GED math test, you need to know how to solve inequalities, apply them to real-world problems, and graph the solutions. From the question, we are told that Michael saved $8,500, so total savings equals $8,500. He then spent $7,300 on a motorbike, so amount spent equals $7,300. Now let's find the amount of money he has left. To find out how much money Michael has remaining, we subtract the amount he spent from his total savings. So, amount remaining equals 8,500 minus 7,300. This gives us 1,200. Next, we're told that each writing lesson costs $300, so cost per lesson equals 300. Let's X represent the number of lessons Michael can afford. Each lesson costs $300, and if Michael takes X lessons, then the total cost of those lessons would be 300 times X. This gives us 300X. So 300X represents the total cost of all the lessons. Since Michael can't spend more than $1,200, we write the inequality. 300X is less than or equal to 1,200. This shows that the total cost of the lessons must be less than or equal to the money he has left. Now, let's solve the inequality we set up. To isolate X, we divide both sides by 300. The 300 cancels out, leaving us with just X. We calculate 1,200 over 300 to get 4. So we have X is less than or equal to 4. This means Michael can afford up to 4 full writing lessons with the money he has left. Therefore, the correct answer is option B. You could have also set this up as a single inequality and solve. The total saved, greater than or equal to the amount he spent, plus the amount that is remaining, which is the amount he wants to use to pay for writing lessons. The total is 8,500. The amount he spent is 7,300. The writing lessons is 300 per lesson. If we represent the lesson by X, the 300 per lesson will be 300X. We solve for X, and we will get 4 as our answer. A landscaper uses the expression 40T plus 25B to determine how much he charges a customer, where T is the number of hours he spends trimming and B is the number of bushes he plants. For his last job, he spent 8 hours trimming and planted 6 bushes. How much did the landscaper charge? To pass the GED math test, you need to know how to evaluate algebraic expressions by substituting variables with numbers. The question tells us the landscaper uses the expression 40T plus 25B. So this is the expression we'll use to calculate how much he charged for the job. We know that T represents the number of hours spent trimming. Since he spent 8 hours trimming, we have T equals 8. We also know that B represents the number of bushes he planted. Since he planted 6 bushes, we have B equals 6. Next, we substitute the values of T and B into the expression to find out how much the landscaper charged for his last job. So the amount charged is 40 times 8 plus 25 times 6. Now we multiply. 40 times 8 is 320. 25 times 6 is 150. Next, we add the two results. 320 plus 150. This gives us $470. Therefore, the correct answer is option B, $470. The playlist continues with part 3, where we dive into the essential geometry plus skills you'll need to pass the GED. Don't forget you can get the full course and much more at ultimateged.com. It's the best way to lock in what you just learned. Let's go.